technology is the greatest thing that ever happened to mankind. Okay, until we had agriculture, we still would be hunting buffalo and living in tents. Okay, and agriculture allowed cities and specialization. Specialization, created knowledge, and knowledge was built on top of each other and created institutions. And we went from fire to wheels to steam engines to these wonderful phones we have in our pocket now, which can do things that you couldn't even imagine doable. This is the reason that mankind is living the way it lives today. Okay, so we have problems. I'm not going to deny the problems we have, but we wouldn't be living the way we are today. When my grandfather was born, there were no cars, 1897, no cars, no planes, no health care. You got sick, you died. Okay, so now it's 120 years later, and it's pretty good over that time. And mankind has gotten better and better. There's a book called The Better Angels of Our Nature, and it actually analyzes things like people who were murdered at the hands of other people. Okay, and that number's been coming down every single century for the last 20 centuries, including last century, which included World War I and World War II. I believe this century so far is better than last century, in spite of what you read in the paper. And so that mankind is slowly learning, but I hope we don't destroy ourselves with nuclear weapons, but it's slowly learning how to get better. Technology drives it. Yes, it's scary, it changes things, it's disruptive. We've done a bad job helping the disruptive. Okay, so what we need to do as a society say, let's not hold back technology, let's use it to improve mankind. Like people are worried about autonomous driving. 40,000 people die a year in cars. 40,000 people. I'm just going to guess, but when we have autonomous driving, it'll probably be 5,000 people. It'll be a good thing, okay? Not a bad thing. Warren Buffett talks about 11 million people working on farms, 40 or 50 or 60 years ago, and now it's 1 million. That's a good thing. Society moved past that and moves on. Do you want people going back to picking corn? Is that going to make society better? Because you have a job? Not really. Mankind's gone from 7 days a week to 6 days a week to 5 days a week, and I suspect we're already down to about 4 as I speak. And so we will adjust if we need to adjust. If you and I were in running the government, and all of a sudden you're going to have 10,000 jobs lost from technology, you and I would do something to slow it down, to retrain. So one of the problems with this retraining, this is not about youth now. This is about someone who loses a good paying job. How do you deal with that? Whether it's because of technology or trade. So if a trucker loses a job, he doesn't want to go back to earning $7 an hour. He's got a family. He wants to live with dignity. There, you can redevelop, retrain, and do a bunch of things to ease that issue and to make jobs available and stuff like that. And I think it's doable. So I wouldn't stop it. Maybe you might slow it down or modify how it's going to function if it's causing too much disruption in society.
But this is why, it's the counterpoint, and I'm glad you brought up trade. That people who feel that global trade has hollowed out their community, their manufacturing, their industry in the part of the world where they grow up, it's very difficult to explain to people, well, look, yes, globalization of industry lifts boats, generally lifts the boat higher, but it may not have lifted your boat because actually those jobs have gone to more efficient, cost-efficient factories in Mexico, factories elsewhere where labor is cheaper and they can get the product done just as well. That is a message that we see came and fly back in the election cycle everywhere across the world. And people are sort of saying, resisting globalization, that is a trend that if it deepens, will be bad for business and likely bad for your business.
Look, I think there are issues where globalization was unfair. I won't go through you could say that in steel or something like that. There are issues where it may have caused disruption, we didn't deal with it properly. Hugely beneficial for mankind. Hugely beneficial for the United States, but you're absolutely correct. If it helps 98 people, maybe there are 2 people that really hurt. So you're all getting cheaper sneakers, but someone lost a job manufacturing sneakers. Now, most manufacturing jobs have gone from 20 million to 11 or 12. Everyone estimates that 75% was automation. It was not jobs going overseas. And automation generally has been a good thing. Some of these are very tough jobs. And so, mankind adjusts.